Welcome to this brand new podcast, Inside the Songs, and it is my absolute pleasure to be joined for this first episode by the man, the myth, the legend, Howard Jones. Howard, thanks so much for finding the time to have this conversation. So if you are checking this podcast out, you'll have discovered that a brand new track has just dropped. The track is called Cult. It is by Pick Up Goliath, which is me, featuring Howard Jones on vocals and Scott Lepage on guitar and Mike Mallion on drums. And it is the first track from a 6-track EP, which has been commissioned by the video game company Massive Monster to support their global hit video game Cult of the Lamb. And I'm going to have a chat with Howard today about that process and about what we've been up to. And we're going to find out some fun things about each other, because Howard and I, despite having been working on this project, never spoken. This is the first time us meeting each other. So let's get stuck in. So tell me how this project came to you and what you thought when it dropped into your inbox.
I believe my management had been notified about it and then reached out to me. And of course, first thing that gets my interest, video game. Oh, that's fun. So I think with anyone, you're just naturally curious. But at the same time, it was just like, oh, hey, this is a possibility. Yeah, sure. I'm interested. And then, I took a look at the game and was like, okay, I just wanted to see what it was. And so it was just a quick view on YouTube of the game, just to see a little bit of gameplay. And I was like, that looks pretty fun. And then I think because I've been recording a lot of different stuff, it was off my radar. So I agreed. I was like, yeah, I'd love to be involved. But then I think there were some back and forth emails. I tend to miss things. So you'll forgive some of my unnuanced answer. So then it got to a point where I remember getting music, and then there was a deadline. So that's my question is, what happened there?
Yeah. So let me give you some background that you probably don't know at all. Background about how the whole project was conceptualized and how it took off. So one of the owners of Massive Monster, Jay, he goes, "Hey guys, you'll never believe this. This drummer from this really high profile American metal band, he's got in touch, and he'd love to do something." I'm like, that's amazing. If you're looking for a guy to follow it up, like I'd love to pick it up. And he's like, okay, let me put you in touch with him, and you see where things go. So me and this drummer, we conceptualized this 5-song EP it was at the time, and I said, look, I'll start doing some arrangements. So taking songs from the original soundtrack written by Riverboy, and I got all the stems off of him and started doing metal arrangements based on those original songs. And when I think they're in a place for you to have a listen to, I'll send you over some demos and you can start throwing down some drums. It's like, yeah, amazing. So I think I've only wrote 2 or 3 demos, and I sent them over to him and got absolutely nothing back. He ghosted me. I'm like, that's devastating, absolutely devastating. I went back to Jay and I said, look, dude, this guy's ghosted me. I'm sure he's got all of his reasons. What do you want me to do? Because I've started this stuff. It'll be a real shame to have to scrap it. And he goes, no, just crack on with it. He said, we've got a bit of budget to make it work. I said, well, I actually know Mike Mallion, the drummer, because he studied in the school where I taught for a while. So can I give him a call and see if he's interested? He's like, yeah, that's a great starting point. So I called Mike and we speak, and Mike's like, yeah, that's so up my alley. Jumped at the chance, and he came out here to my studio in Spain, by which point I'd written all these songs, and he threw down drums. And then the publisher, Laced, started hearing these songs more and more, and they're like, hang on a minute guys, because this music's sounding pretty shit hot, like let's see if we can take this idea further. I'm like, well, yeah, what do you mean? And I will just give us a wish list for vocalists and guitarists, and we'll see what we can do. I spoke to Joe, and him and I were like, first name on the list, Howard Jones. It's like the voice of our adolescence. We want that guy in this record. It will be a dream come true. And I know there's all sorts of backwards and forwards with your management to try and make it happen. And we were absolutely pumped when we managed to get the okay from you and from Matt Hayfie to be the 2 vocalists on this record. And then started getting guitarists involved. So Scott Lepage from Polyphia and Javier Perez from Animals as Leaders. Got Josh from Malevolence and Sean from While She Sleeps. Clay from Polyphia throwing down bass on a track. So it sort of turned into this like kind of all-star thing. And then they're like, yeah, but we need to get it done. Like, here's some deadlines. I'm like, oh, okay, right, let's start pushing these things. I know you were working with Josh from Spirit Box. He was recording your vocals and producing your vocals out in LA, I believe. So we had to try and make it fit in with his schedule and with their deadlines, and it was all of a sudden it became really real. So that's how it all came about.
Yeah, this is great getting to understand everything. I got the music, I'm listening, and then, kind of got a time frame of when this was needed. And I was actually about to leave the country. And it was like, wait, okay, I need studio time. My gosh, how am I going to do this and make all this time work? And I just called Josh and Joseph, who I've worked with. They recorded both the Light the Torch albums with me and were involved with the recording Scion. So I'm like, hey, man, what's your schedule looking like? And he's like, well, I've got a little bit of free time. Okay, let's try to work something out here, man. The pressure is on. Yeah. We're on a very limited time frame. So we somehow managed to stitch that together. But yeah, I was about to get on a plane, but I was hoping to have some studio, but just it all ended up working out where like I wasn't going to have studio available. Just the amount of time that was left, it was like, okay, I've got to figure this out. So yeah, immediately just called Josh and we were able to work all that out.
By hook or by crook, you guys nailed it and did an amazing job.
And also, unbeknownst, I had no idea who was involved with this whatsoever until after I was finished with all three songs. I just asked, I'm like, who's in this? I heard it was for this game. I saw the game. I was like, game looks fun. It looks really fun. Then I heard the music. I had no way to describe it. There's, it's progressive, but also it was just different. It's just structured different, and it immediately got my curiosity. So yeah, that just made it that much more fun for me. But yeah, I had no idea who was involved.
So let's pick up on that, on the structures of these songs and how that will have impacted on your writing process, because you're absolutely right. These songs are not structured generically. If you think about how strophic songs would normally go in the role of metal and metalcore, intro, verse, chorus with a breakdown somewhere. It's not that. And that's mainly because most of the songs are actually multiple shorter tracks that are put together. All of the songs, apart from the first track, Cult, are the boss levels from the game, representing the different horsemen and death at the end. And so you've got these different character traits that are taken from these short, like 1 to 2 minute songs. And then I've deliberately followed the exact structures of the songs from the OST and the exact harmonic progressions, because I wanted people that were fans of the OST, when they listened to this metal record, to be able to hear those original songs. I don't want it to just be, like influenced by. I want people to go, oh my God, I know the song, but I don't know the song. And for that reason, you get this, as you say, progressive kind of through composed thing with a linear, real kind of storytelling feel. So tell me how, in comparison to your usual process, if you have one with Killswitch Engage or with like the Torch or Scion, how did your writing process have to differ for this project?
That's a great question, because honestly, it was structured completely different than what I'm normally accustomed to. I try to write every day, just to stay in that time, kind of in that mind frame, so it's like, I don't really use a lot of what I've written. It's amazing to just have this glut of lyrics that just they just amount to nothing. Wow, I spent a lot of time writing that, but it's just to kind of keep the muscle there. And so like all of that just, it helps, but kind of had to approach this differently, just because it wasn't a formal structure. It wasn't like, first chorus. There's no chorus. I guess I've become kind of known for that. It was like, done a lot of songs and I've sang a lot of choruses. But yeah, so getting this music, so, you just want to absorb it. And so I'm sitting there listening to this, and this doesn't repeat, but at the same time, there's this familiarity to it, because you really did pull from the game. And that was one of the things I wanted to do, was play the game just so that I had a sense of what I was doing. I wanted to be connected to it. So it wasn't just like entering it cold. And so, I definitely spent a little bit of time, probably played for like 15 or 20 hours, and, just got my butt kicked plenty and definitely lost all my followers and then killed the last one. Just like, well, screw it. Okay.
I'm out.
Yeah. And then, but now I literally just started over again because I want to just familiarize myself with it again. But that was part of the fun, is the challenge, just because this was structured unlike the norm. So it was it's like, how do we approach this? So it was like, okay, there's still the elements of the actual game in there. So let's try to follow the storyline, but still, like make it interesting. So you want to give it highs and lows. You want it to have some feeling, but that's what made this so much more fun for me, is because it's unlike anything I'm normally writing and recording. Like finding riffs to just kind of sink your teeth in and like, okay, what goes there? And so, and even just the way that first riff comes in and it intertwines with the music, like, okay, it's open. It allowed for this really open, airy phrasing. So it's like, that's not normally how I think, but it was just, I try to go with what feels right, because I really don't read music. I just, there's patterns and structuring and everything, so I'm familiar with that. But I just tried to go with what felt right to it. And that was the thing, was finding what felt right with something that doesn't feel natural. And it turned into this really fun thing.
Yeah. For me, producing the record, it became about a series of moments, because obviously taking these 6 songs from the LST quite deliberately, Riverboro's written this soundtrack with a style across the whole thing. Of course, there's variation in in melody and tempo and all sorts of things, but the sonic landscape, if you like, the different colors that he's painting with, are all within a style, because it's all one video game. So I needed to find a way of giving each of these 6 songs, individual personality and flavor. And that was one of the reasons that we thought having some different musicians on each one would be really beneficial, because everybody would be able to bring bits of their own style and their own creativity to it. And that would give me different things within the mix to flavor the songs and bring forwards. And whilst I told the musicians involved that there is a style within the whole thing, I was clear, I hope that, I wanted to hear individual personalities and styles, because the songs needed flavors. That to me worked really well. I think that you can hear everybody's, personalities coming through in all these songs. But as you say, it's not normal, and it does therefore become about moments and what feels right, because you're not going to find a chorus. So you're looking for, okay, where is the moment in the song where I could do a chorus type thing, and it's going to come and go quickly, but I still went there to be at some point like some kind of hooky refrain that people would identify as doing the job of a chorus, even though it might only come once. And I think in all of the songs, there are those moments where you go, okay, here's the big bit. And then it's like, oh crap, it's gone. And now I'm now into something else.
There's some cool musical payoffs, and then you're on to the next. So like, whoa, but it is cool because there are peaks and valleys. So that was kind of the fun. It was trying to emote in all of that. And that's what I enjoy about music, at least for me, is just like trying to actually insert feeling into it. And so that was the challenge. And having Josh and Joseph both there to just kind of give some of their insight, because even when they at first heard it, they were like, this kind of sounds like Polyphia. Josh legitimately said that from the very beginning, before we'd even started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. But because as well, especially on this fast track Cult, there for a while still some of the original guitars that I put down on the demo that stayed in the mix until quite late in the process. And when Scott heard a later mix, he was like, I really want to like redo those guitars because I can do them in my way that will feel more like me. And I'm like, yeah, man, you take what you want. And this was an interesting thing actually, because you and Matt, you got the songs pretty much with a finished instrumental thrown at you. But the guitarists, they got my fleshed out arrangement with Mike's drums, but effectively the rest was still wasn't a demo, it was beyond a demo, but it wasn't finished because I wanted the guitarists to be able to do what they wanted with it. You know, if they wanted to just re-record, cool, re-record. If you want to take it out and write a completely fresh line, so long as harmonically it's staying the same thing and locking in with Mike's drums, it go to town. It was really insightful to see how the different guitarists approached those things in different ways, and absolutely they took to the task in completely contrasting styles. And in fact, there was another guitarist who was going to be on the project. And when I was talking to him, I'm like, you know, this is how it kind of needs to work. Here's the demo. Here's the drums, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, I just don't know if this project's for me because that's just not how I'm used to working. He said, you know, I sit down with my guitar, I riff out, and then we start throwing some drums on it. But I don't know how I can work around there already being an arrangement and having a right to that. In the end, he had to go on tour anyway, and it didn't work out. But it's interesting to see how, you know, despite the musicians on the project being massively successful in their own ways, there's still no like, this is how professional musicians write a song. Everybody's different, and everyone has their styles, and I love that.
Yeah, it really does show. It's a strange blend that came together, and I just remember first listening to it, and without vocals, it was just like, what is this madness? But it was great. Actually, there wasn't one of the songs we had to declutter. I believe it had like there was a lot more riffing.
It happened a few times. I think, in fact, the third track that you wrote, Conquest, which is track 5 on the EP with Josh Baines from Malevolence, yeah, I'm sure you don't mind me saying, he's a shredder at heart. Like, he loves to play a lot of notes. And I said to him, just do your thing. And then I got his tracks back. I'm like, this is amazing. But, I'm sure that somewhere in this, we're going to have to make room for the vocal because, you know, he was just like, here's loads of ideas and do you run with it. And yeah, you know, I gave you a mix where some of it was quite buried, but we had to take some things out. I had to affect some things quite heavily with different sounds and stuff to give the vocal some space. And that was part of the balance, I guess.
Yeah, it's like if there were no vocals, that would have worked because it's a banger. He went for it, but I was like, there's nowhere for me in some of this. So yeah, we definitely had to edit some of it down. But man, I loved this. I loved it. It was so different than what I'm accustomed to, and therein lies the challenge of it. And I think that's become a thing for me as I've over time. It's just like, oh, that's different. You've got my interest. I like doing what I do, but if I can deviate from the norm, it's definitely going to pique my curiosity.
So do you think that's maybe one of the biggest takeaways from the project for you, like having had the experience of being, I guess, forced to work in a way that is not your normal way? Has that encouraged you to perhaps look for more contrasting ways to work in the future and maybe look for some more contrasting projects?
Yeah, it's funny you're saying that because I really have been trying to do different things, working with different people. And even that's where, like, as some Zion comes into play, it's like, this was different, a younger guy. And it's like, hey, it's cool. So it's definitely opened me up to doing different things. However, it's like, I said, very open and different. I just wasn't expecting this. And now it's definitely given me this itch where I now want to seek out just some different people, different styles that may not come naturally. And it's just, it's like, why not? It's like, when else am I going to have the chance? I mean, I'm going to try and do this for a little while longer, but man, if there was ever a time for me to work with some really talented people like yourself and like Matt, and love Matt. What's up, Matt? And, just like, just to work with more people. Yeah, this was definitely like a jump off point. Like, okay, I wanted to do more. This is definitely scratching an itch that I almost didn't realize I had.
It's funny how life sometimes presents you with those opportunities. As you say, scratches an itch that you didn't know we had. It's like, oh wow, that's really giving me a new perspective on this thing that I've been doing for 30 years or however long you've been making music. It's easy, isn't it, in a creative way where quite often we're used to just doing things the way that you want to do them. It's easy to become complacent and just, this is the way I like to do things. And, my my team understands me and they know that, you know, this is my method. And then when all of a sudden it's like, no, try something different. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like if you always have mustard on your hot dog and then all of a sudden someone throws some HP sauce. It's like, what is this black magic?
I can honestly say that I do remember discovering HP with Adam D, and it was like, why is this not huge in the United States? This is an amazing sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely opened up just different ways of thinking, and even approaching. Like I've enjoyed writing, the different projects I've done, and I've enjoyed like working with different bands or writing for people. I never expected to do that, but this was so much more different because there's source material already. So it's like you have to glean from that and try to hopefully make it in bite-sized pieces so that you're still enjoying the music, and if you're into the game, you're enjoying it for that. So it's a completely different approach, and here I am 30 years into being in bands and doing music, and I'm still getting excited over it. So I'm like, yeah, I did not expect this. I like this. So yeah, it was a lot of fun for me.
So let me throw some other questions at you. So so you've written these 3 songs on the EP. So Cult, which is track 1, and Famine, which is track 3, and Conquest, which is track 5. Do you have a favorite?
Probably Cult, just because it was the introduction, and honestly, it gave me an idea of what was to come. And it's just like, okay, there's a lot of melody in here, but there's also just some, there's some real heavy parts here, but it's just, it gave an idea. But also we were able to just kind of like repeat a little bit. So we kind of made a verse, a chorus. So it's almost structured.
So close. So close.
So close. It's almost there, but it's hooky, and that song turned hooky.
So I'll tell you an interesting backstory. When the project was sort of officially conceptualized in its final form with the publisher, it was a 5-song EP. It was the other 5 songs, not Cult, because those were the 5 sort of boss stages in the game. When we had our online kind of production chat about it, they asked me, what's the runtime of these songs? I can't remember what it was, maybe 20 minutes or so. And they said, that's a real shame. It's just like 1 song short for a vinyl. I said, well, I'm sure we could find, something from OST or whatever to fill up the vinyl with. I'm like, over my dead body. Leave it with me. I'm going to find another song, another way to approach this. So I'll do a 6th track. Don't you worry. But I had Mike coming out to me in Spain like the next week, and I didn't even tell him there's a 6th song because we were so tight on time to track him anyway that I was like, I'm just going to wait until I've got him here in the studio and then say, hey, there's 5 songs. There's another. So we had these 5 songs that were level bosses, but there wasn't another level boss. So I was like, well, what can I use? So I went to the track Start a Cult, and I thought, okay, well, this can be from the Lamb's perspective. This is him like talking to his team and bigging himself up, and here's the adventure to come, which is then followed by all of these bosses and all of the these horsemen, these temptations, and these tasks and death at the end. And I wrote the thing in like a day flat. The other ones had all taken me much longer than that to kind of work through, maybe 3-4 days each. And this one, sometimes it just comes out and it's like, wow, that feels good. And then you kind of double guess yourself because it's like, can it be that easy sometimes? And sometimes it just can be. And then when I presented the final songs and we were like, which one's the single? Everyone was like, Cult. That's the single. Like everyone unanimously, they're like, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, the song, it has a flow to it. It really does. But that's so funny because, I mean, you definitely see that, but I thought that was done on purpose. Like, okay, this is this is the Lamb, and that's That's hysterical to me.
Yeah,
But yeah, it makes sense because it adds to the storytelling.
yeah,
So
it totally does.
yeah, man, the happy accidents. I love it.
Afterthought. Some of the greatest things are experiments and afterthoughts. Hey,
I
uh,
love finding out all of this stuff after it's been done.
and I'm sure some of the guys from Massive Monster and from Lace the publishers and the other artists involved who'll be listening to this will be going, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's hysterical. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that one definitely stuck out. Just it's catchy. It's really catchy. That song.
Yeah. So, tell me what's next for you, Howard. I know you've been working on a record with Adam D. Is that coming out soon? Can we expect that soon?
I'm hoping so. Like me, Adam juggles a lot of different things, and so yeah, I know he's trying to finish up the Kill Switch album, and so I get it if I come in second. If his attention is there, I get it. But yeah, we're hoping that we can get this mix mastered and out as soon as possible. We don't have a specific date yet, but I'm hoping so. Hoping it'll see the light of day soon. And still writing another Scion album, and looks like I'm working with King Fighter. That's me and Peter, who was in some work. It's like we're starting to scratch at that again. So yeah, if my management's watching, surprise. So yeah, I've got a few different things after that. I like to, if I'm finishing something, there has to be something already started. So I like to make sure there's a constant wheel going.
So look, Howard, this has been amazing. It's been great to talk to you and dig into some of the backstory of this record. I hope the people that listen to it can hear the stories that we're talking about. Is there anything else that you want to share before we sign off?
Thank you for thinking of me with this. It's just one of those things that came out of the blue for me, and it turned into one of the absolute more fun things I've got to do in the studio. It just, yeah, it really did scratch an itch that I was unaware of. And so, yeah, I think I got to keep picking at that. And just everyone who's going to give it a listen, and thank you. And yeah, let's play this game, because I'm going to keep playing. I got to finish it. I have to.
That's right, you do.
Yeah.
Well, likewise, Howard. It's been amazing working with you on this project. And be careful what you wish for, because I might be knocking on your inbox again with something else to see if it tickles your taste buds.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm always open. It's when the right thing comes along, it sucks that I have to turn some stuff down, but it's like when the timing's right, and especially if it's got my curiosity, I'll figure out how to make it work. So bring it on, my man. Bring it on.
Amazing. Howard, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been awesome.